In every shadow lies a secret, in every hero, a destiny waiting to be written. Across galaxies, cities, and realms beyond imagination, stories collide and legends are born. This channel is where epic original comic book adventures begin. Welcome to Short Story Universe Audio. To fully enjoy this video, please ensure CC, closed captions aka subtitle, is turned on. Thanks for clicking on my video. Clark Kent, the true hero of Man of Steel. As a result of all the reaction videos for the Superman 2025 movie, my YouTube feed was also filled with Man of Steel reaction videos. As I'm watching a Man of Steel reaction video, a theory suddenly hit me. Everyone thinks Superman is the hero of Man of Steel, but what if it was Clark Kent all along? In fact, Superman might not be the hero at all. He might even be the biggest problem. Get ready to enjoy two fantastic AI podcasters conjured by Notebook LM as they deep dive more into this theory. So grab a snack, sit back, and enjoy. Clark Kent, the true hero of Man of Steel.
Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into a film that really split opinions. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
It definitely did, and we're looking at it through a lens that kind of turns the whole thing on its head.
Exactly. We're tackling this theory, this thesis really, that challenges the fundamental idea of who the hero is.
Yeah, most people see Superman, the guy in the cape, as the hero. Obvious, right?
Right.
But this piece we looked at, called Clark Kent, the true hero of Man of Steel, argues something else entirely.
It argues that Clark Kent, the guy struggling, the emotional, flawed man, the actual superhero of the story.
And that Superman, the identity he takes on, that was maybe the flaw, or the necessary but destructive consequence.
It's a pretty bold take.
Yeah.
It forces you to separate the person Clark from the alien power of the symbol.
Absolutely. So our plan for this dive is to walk you through that idea. We'll contrast Clark's actions, those really human instinctual choices, with what happens when he becomes Superman, when he adopts that colder Kryptonian ideal.
And see which one feels more like the hero in the end. Does that sound right?
Yeah, which identity truly inspires versus which one just executes a function, maybe.
Okay, let's start with Clark Kent then. Before the suit, the source we read really emphasizes that his big heroic moments are all driven by impulse, by emotion.
Totally. It's not calculated. He sees a problem, he reacts. Think about the school bus.
Right, plunging into the water to save all those kids. No hesitation.
None. Or the oil rig rescue. That's huge and public, but it's about saving those specific workers right then and there.
And, maybe the most telling, trying to run into the tornado after Jonathan Kent.
Oh yeah, that's pure desperate instinct. It's only Jonathan stopping him that prevents it.
So these acts are about saving the individual in front of him. It's very immediate, very personal.
Exactly. The argument is that Clark's heroism is defined by that focus, not some grand idea of justice or, global safety yet.
It's about the person right there, in danger.
Yeah, that tangible life. And that's what makes him feel human, someone you can actually relate to.
But, okay, the article doesn't ignore his flaws, which I think is important for the argument. He's not perfect.
No, definitely not.
We see him lose control, that janitor closet incident. And destroying the trucker's rig later on, that's pretty aggressive.
It is.
Doesn't that kind of undermine the true hero idea? Isn't heroism meant to be about control, discipline?
That's a fair question. And maybe it highlights the difference between just being a good person and being a disciplined figure of authority.
Okay.
His actions, yeah, they're immature, maybe uncontrolled, but the source suggests they come from pain, not malice.
Like lashing out from hurt.
Pretty much. And his struggles, like dealing with Jonathan's death, his anger, maybe those flaws are what make his desire to help so powerful.
Ah, I see. So he's struggling internally, massively, but still chooses to help others.
Right. He hasn't figured himself out, but the impulse is towards selflessness.
So it's the effort, the trying despite the confusion and the pain. That's the real superhero energy the article talks about.
That seems to be the core idea. It's inspiring because he's fighting himself, fighting his background, fighting the fear around him, but still putting that person in need first. So by the time he even gets near the Fortress of Solitude, the argument goes, his heroic arc, selfless action despite uncertainty, is basically complete. He chose to be a hero, based on his upbringing, long before Jor-El gave him a suit and a mission.
Okay, that makes sense. Which sets up this huge shift then. If Clark is the emotional, flawed hero, what happens when he becomes Superman?
Right, the Superman shift. The source argues that the moment he puts on that suit, after talking to the Jor-El AI in the ship, something fundamental changes.
He becomes less human,
Yeah,
more alien.
that's the idea. Visually, too. Remember the look. When he's Clark, things are gritty, grounded, earthy tones.
Yeah.
Then he enters the fortress, and it's all cold blues, sterile, digital. Even the suit itself isn't like a symbol he chose. It's Kryptonian tech.
Right.
A uniform.
And his language changes almost immediately. He stops talking like Clark from Smallville.
He really does. When Zod shows up, his response isn't personal, like, get away from my planet. It's representative.
That line, the source points out, on my planet, this symbol means hope. He's speaking for Krypton now.
Yeah, adopting this detached, sort of intellectualized Kryptonian perspective, he's functionally removed from the human level.
And this is where his choices shift, right? From saving individuals
To engaging in this massive, almost abstract conflict becomes about the species, the planet, these huge stakes. This is where that utilitarian calculus comes in.
Let's unpack that phrase a bit. Utilitarian calculus. What does the source mean by that in the context of the Zod fight?
Okay, so basically utilitarianism in ethics is about making the choice that leads to the greatest good for the greatest number, maximizing overall well-being.
Even if it means some harm along the way.
Potentially, yeah. Clark's early heroism wasn't like that. It was more, deontological, focusing on the rightness of the action itself, saving that person, no matter the wider cost or consequence.
Okay, got it. But when Superman fights Zod,
He has to switch to utilitarian thinking, according to this theory. He has to choose the greater good, stopping Zod, saving Earth from extinction,
and the cost of that choice.
is the horrifying destruction in Smallville and Metropolis. Thousands of individual lives lost in the battle. Superman chooses the abstract good, the planet, over the specific lives Clark always prioritized.
But here's where I push back a little on the source. Wasn't that shift necessary?
How do you mean?
Well, could Clark, the emotional guy focused on one person at a time, actually stop Zod and the world engine? Didn't humanity need that colder, more powerful utilitarian figure to survive?
That's a really strong point, and the film visually supports it, right? The scale of the threat seems to demand that kind of power, maybe even that detachment.
Yeah.
But the source's argument would be, yes, maybe Superman was necessary to win, but the way he won, the immense destruction, that confirms he's the flaw in the story. The victory came at an almost unbearable cost.
A cost that the human Clark, the one who felt every near miss, would have been devastated by on a personal level.
Exactly. Whereas Superman, the symbol, the Kryptonian ideal, perhaps just executed the necessary actions. The source argues the destruction proves the point the heroics became detached, costly.
In that moment, he snaps Zod's neck,
Yeah.
which is hugely controversial. Some see it as his humanity breaking through the coldness and agony.
Right, a desperate last resort when he couldn't find another way to save that family.
But it comes after Metropolis is already devastated. His humanity only fully forces his hand at the point of arguably failure.
And this is where the theory lands: the humanity fades, the Kryptonian power and its consequences take over. Superman, in this interpretation, isn't just a hero, he's a weapon, a force of nature deployed out of necessity.
His choices become cold, scaled up, destructive in a way Clark's never were. The suit, the power, it alienates him.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this. The core idea is Clark equals hero, Superman equals symbol.
Right. Clark inspires because he tries, representing that human struggle for good.
While Superman becomes this detached, cold ideal. A force that stops the threat but maybe loses touch with the individual, lives in the process.
And this reframes how we might see the director's intention, doesn't it? Maybe Snyder was setting up a tragedy.
That's a fascinating way to read it. Like, Clark was the hero we could have had, the truly inspirational one.
And Superman, this destructive force needed to beat Zod, was the terrible price humanity had to pay.
Yeah. It wasn't a triumphant becoming, it was a compromise. A necessary but devastating one. We won, but maybe lost the heart of the hero.
So, connecting this back to you listening, why should this distinction matter?
Well, it changes how we think about heroism itself, doesn't it? We often equate it with just raw power, capability, the Superman side. This theory asks us to focus instead on, the emotional intent, the commitment to individual human life, the Clark Kent side.
It basically reframes the whole theme. Maybe the film isn't about Clark becoming Superman joyfully. Maybe it's about Clark struggling against becoming this overwhelming symbol that overshadows his humanity.
In the ending, with all that cleanup in Metropolis, visually drives home the cost of that symbol, of that power. It's not a clean victory lap.
Because if heroism is fundamentally about the drive to help, protecting individual lives, staying connected,
Then maybe Clark Kent, flaws and all, was the true champion of this particular story. The Superman identity was the powerful, alienating tool needed for the job.
necessity versus nobility. That's a powerful distinction.
It really is.
Okay, so to wrap up our dive today, we'll leave you with that core question the source raises. When the battle was over, who do you think humanity needed more in the long run? The flawed, emotional, trying human Clark, or the powerful, efficient, but ultimately colder Kryptonian ideal of Superman? Something to think about.
If you enjoyed this theory, don't just fly off like Superman. Stick around like Clark. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, share this video with a friend, and of course, subscribe and smash that bell so you never miss what's next. My PayPal link's down in the description and on my homepage if you'd like to support the channel. Remember, sometimes the real hero isn't who you think it is. Thanks for watching.